Calling all modern musicians, this video is specifically made for you. Today I want to discuss a topic that might be a little bit taboo, but I feel like it's very transparent and very honest to how it is being a musician in this modern era, because I am a musician. I am living currently in the modern era, and I know some of the things that go in and out of being one of these modern musicians. Being a modern musician definitely does have its upsides, but today I'm going to be talking about the 10 reasons why being a modern musician sucks. Reason number one is not a lot of people will hear your music. Probably. It's going to be very tough to break that ceiling and get your music heard by even 5 people. There are definitely a lot of tools nowadays that make it easier to distribute your music, things like DistroKid, which I personally use to publish my music on all streaming platforms and all sorts of various websites so that people can hear my music, but that doesn't mean that they will hear my music. It's really a game that is about a lot of luck and really about marketing yourself. And if you can't do that, most likely nobody is going to hear the awesome music that you spend so many hours, so much emotional toil, so much stress, anxiety, everything that you put into that music is going to be all for nothing. Unless just making music for yourself is your goal, then that's perfectly fine. But I'm speaking as my own person, and I feel like I'm a pretty decent representation of what an average modern musician would be and the thoughts and feelings I have about music. And a lot of it does orient around people hearing the things that I create. Who knows, you might get lucky and you might be the next pop star or the next person that breaks through with an awesome one-hit wonder. But for the majority of us, the likely outcome is that not many people are going to hear our music, at least right away. So that can be very discouraging. Reason number 2 is you can't just be a musician. You have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be your musician self. You have to be your own marketing team. You have to be your own recording engineer. You have to be your own mixer, your own mastering engineer. You have to be your own publicist. You have to be your own everything. Unless you've got the resources available to hire people to delegate these different aspects of being a musician in the modern era. But again, as an average musician myself, I don't have the options or the resources to do such a thing. So I have to do it all myself. And again, I allude back to DistroKid. Things like that definitely help to act as kind of a publisher or a publicist for what I do. That way I don't have to go to each individual streaming platform to post my music. DistroKid does it for me, but still I have to go through the whole route of doing everything before DistroKid takes it over to get my music out and heard. And especially nowadays, if you really want your music to be heard, you kind of have to also create content. And that is a barrier within itself. Not only do you have to know how to be a musician, you have to be a content creator on top of that, just so you can market yourself as your own marketer and edit your own stuff as your own editor, and make sure that many people see that on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Snapchat, wherever, so that your music can be heard. All of this just revolves around getting your music heard. But there are all of these other obstacles that you have to get over, different skills you have to pick up along the way, just so your music can be heard. The barrier to entry is a tough one. Reason number 3 is everybody else is doing it too. So not only do you have to be a jack of all trades, being your own publicist, your own marketer, your own editor, your own recording engineer, your own mastering and mixing engineer, your everything has to be you. You also have to battle everybody else who is doing the same thing. A lot of musicians exist in the world. A lot of them are trying to get their music heard, so you're going to be competing with everybody who is doing exactly what it is that you are doing or what you want to do. It is very highly saturated, so you're going to have to work your ass off more than the next guy or gal just so that your music can be heard over theirs. And then it's a constant battle to the top to see who can get to the top for the most people to listen to their music. But breaking free of that oversaturated barrier is the toughest aspect of being a musician and getting people to hear your music, because everybody else is making music, everybody else is doing the exact same things that you are, so you're gonna have to do something extra special or 10 times better than everybody else in order for it to be heard. Reason number 4 is there is a very deep learning curve. Now I know a lot of you have probably watched a YouTube video or two and watched a few lessons or tutorials from like Marty or various other online guitar teachers, any other kind of music teacher. The availability of resources is definitely there, but you have to know where to look. A lot of times the learning curve for this is very steep. Even when you think you've gotten into the right place with like music theory or how to play your instrument, as soon as you open one door, a million more open in front of you, because it is an endless rabbit hole that just still baffles me to this day. It is an immense learning curve, and not everybody can deal with that idea. Not even with just the music aspect. Since you kind of have to be a content creator on top of that, the learning curve for that whole thing is a whole other world, a whole other universe that just exponentially makes this whole process for you and everybody else that much more complicated and that much more confusing and that much more frustrating. Reason number 5 is create or die. You can't take 10 years to make your first EP or your first song or your first album. You have to put things out. You have to consistently make projects and put them out. I know, I am a perfectionist myself, so I will work on a track for a very long time before I think it's ready for people to hear. And even then, I have a million things in a list of what I would have changed if I could go back before I finally decided to publish it. But at a certain point, you have to cut your losses and be like, this is probably as good as it's gonna get. I have to move on to the next thing, so let's put this out, or people are just gonna forget that you're creating anything in the first place. Reason number 6 is competition is at an all-time high. If you play guitar like myself, you will definitely have had one of these situations where you're fairly okay with where you are in your playing, and then you see one of these YouTube videos of some 10-year-old kid just shredding some Yngwie Malmsteen, something that you can't play yet, something that is extremely difficult for you to play at this moment, and you see this little 10-year-old kid just easily doing it. And it makes you extremely frustrated. There's a million people out there that are way better than you, way better than me, and the competition for people's attention is an all-time high in all aspects, not even just your musicality, but the look of your content that you have to create for people to hear your music, everything. The competition is strong. Everything is oversaturated, and it's oversaturated with competitors who are just as good, if not better, than everything that you're doing. Reason number 7 is online communities can actually be very toxic. I know personally in the metal scene, and even more niche, the metal guitar scene, there is a lot of toxicity that just should not exist whatsoever. We should be helping each other, we should be promoting each other, collaborating with each other, and helping everybody climb that ladder to success. However, there are a lot of people out there who are just trolls, people who just are unhappy with themselves and have to take other people down with them so they can feel better about themselves. And boy, oh boy, does it run rampant on the internet, if you have not already dealt with that before. Luckily enough, I have fairly thick skin, but I still remember the first handful of comments that I got when I started making YouTube videos with my music, of people just completely trashing on the content, on the music, on my playing, and it's a very humbling but terrible experience to have. Nobody should be saying that kind of stuff to you unless they're being constructively critical, which most aren't. It's a very difficult thing to hear at first. Eventually you do get used to it, but man, people have told me to myself and all sorts of crazy things that you would never believe. Like watching somebody comment something like that on something as simple as a Mary Had a Little Lamb metal cover. Yeah, that actually happened. Reason number 8, option paralysis on everything. Luckily, one of the great aspects of being a musician in the modern era is that there are so many options for so many things. But at the same time, that is also a bad thing, because a lot of people get option paralysis. They don't know which decision to make, which direction to go. What guitar should I buy? What pedals should I use? What audio interface should I buy? What plugins should I use? What DAW should I use? How should I mix this? How should I record that? There are so many different ways to do things, and there are so many different kinds of products. It can be very daunting when you're first trying to get into this world. You just gotta hunker down, watch a couple reviews, find something you like, and just go for it. Don't let the idea of there being so many options and maybe this one's better. Why should I go with this? Maybe that one's better, or maybe that one. Don't. Get something, get started. You'll upgrade over time. That option paralysis can stop you from doing a lot. Specifically, like I mentioned earlier, I can take a very long time before I finish a track. And that's because the option paralysis for different things that I could use to make this better overtake my ability to make a decision and say, I gotta cut this off, gotta put it out, it's finished. It's never gonna be perfect, and you're gonna have to deal with that, and you're gonna have to live with that just a little bit. I know it hurts, but it's what it takes. Reason number 9 is the whole copyright thing around music can actually be pretty difficult. So when you're a content creator like myself, who is also a musician, who also likes to do transformative covers of songs, things can be a little bit tricky. So you can get hit with copyright strikes, you can get hit with copyright claims on things. I have done metal covers of songs that have been copyright claimed, which means I can't make any kind of money on them. Whatever, it's fine. Technically, a good majority of them I have bought the cover licenses for, which is why I'm able to distribute them on Spotify and stuff. But I'm not going to go through the hassle of trying to fight those claims on my YouTube videos, because it's a battle that you won't win with those big music bureaucracies that handle the copyright stuff. You're not going to win that battle. But it makes things very difficult, because even if, let's say, I wanted to go to Twitch and stream on Twitch, well, if I'm doing a cover of let's see, if I'm doing a Billie Eilish cover, which is one of my more recent metal covers, if I'm just playing my version of her song on Twitch, I could actually get in a lot of trouble with Twitch just for doing that. It gets in a weird gray area, and a lot of times it's just best not to venture down that road unless you want to deal with the consequences. On another flip side of that, I have had people actually steal my content and steal my music and post it on their own channels, on their own social media, and not really give me any kind of credit. And I've had to go and be like, hey, listen, it's cool that you like my stuff so much you want to share it, but at least give me credit. I don't want to have to do some weird stuff to get you to take this down because you don't own it and it's mine. You can post it if you want, but at least give me credit. And that's the tricky part, because a lot of people either don't listen to you and you have to go through the extra steps to get it taken down or something, or they just say, nah, I'm good, it's mine. Story for another day. Reason number 10, and maybe the most difficult to deal with mentally, people will doubt you every step of the way. So thinking about all of these other reasons that I've discussed so far, you have to be a content creator on top of being a musician and wear every hat in the book in order to be an online modern musician. But people are gonna doubt you every chance they get, especially when you're first starting out. Before you get any kind of decent numbers, there are gonna be people saying, why are you making videos? Why are you making music? It's not that great. You're not gonna break free. You play metal music, so it's not pop music. It's not gonna be popular. You're not gonna be successful, so why do you do it? You're not special. Why would you make any kind of success of yourself? Trust me, people think this, people have said it, people think it, and I know they think it, and it's something that I still struggle with today. It's a very difficult thing to rattle around in your head, because you want to do the things that you love, but when you have people that doubt you and tell you you're not gonna make it, things like that, you can really start to internalize it and doubt yourself, and you should never have to deal with that own self-thought. It is terrible, it is a bad loop to fall into, and please, if you're in that position where you're highly doubting yourself, try to do the best thing you can, talk to somebody, or just dive into your projects and your music and get them done, because the only thing that matters at the end of the day is if you're happy with the things that you're doing. Don't care about what other people have to say. Their opinion does not matter. At the end of the day, if you're happy, that is all that you need. It took me a very long time to even start to think that for myself. And even still, I struggle with this topic and this idea. So don't worry, it is a long journey to success. It is a long journey to feeling okay about yourself, if you ever do. You're not the only one. And that about wraps it up. So if you could do me a favor and go watch this video before you leave, I would highly appreciate it. And let me know down in the comments what you think about these reasons as to why it sucks to be a modern musician. And if you also have some different reasons that I did not mention in this video, let others know so that they can be aware and we can work on this stuff together so that we can all be successful. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.